Today we're going to talk about Workbook 2A, Exercise 10. We'll look at the textbook pages 25 through 27. This is one of the first assignments where you get to do word problems. Word problems are my favorite part about Singapore math because it's like a puzzle that we have to figure out. Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they feel like you're very complicated, have to think really hard. Today you won't have a difficult time with these word problems, but just be ready and be excited because word problems can be very fun to think about and to learn to decipher and kind of like a mystery sometimes. They're great. Today we're going to start on page 25 and it begins with just some practice of the skills we're going to use. If the problem says to add 21 and 35, notice in the book they have the different colors. On mine I just put them side by side, but if I have two 10s and a 1 and I'm going to add 3 10s and 5, altogether what I have is 4 10s and 6 1s. So 21 add 35 is 46 because it's 4 10s, 6 1s. The next question says for me to subtract 13 from 27. The first thing you have to realize is that means we're going to start with 27 and get rid of 13. Subtract 13 from 27, that tells us to start with 27 things, and subtract 13. If I subtract 13, I'm going to subtract a 10, and I'm going to subtract 3 1s, and what I'm left with is 1 10 and 4 1s. Subtract 13 from 27, and the result is 14. Then they draw a picture. You can see in the book they have a picture of pencils, and their pencils are put in groups of 10. I always do a group of 10 with a square with a check mark in it, but that shows 32 pencils on one side of the line and 13 pencils on the other side of the line, and we're practicing, like we did a couple of lessons ago, making number sentences with those numbers. If you have 3 10s and 2 1s, and you add a 10 and 3 1s, the result is 4 10s, 5 1s. And it doesn't matter which one you start with. If you start with 32 and add 13, or start with 13 and add 32, either way, you end up with 4 10s and 5 1s. But if you think about the 45 altogether and you want to get rid of 13, you could mark the 13 out and see that the result is the 32 are left. And of course, if you go the other direction, starting with all 45 and you subtract 32, what you have left are the 13 from the right side of the picture. So that is all just review and practice and reminding us how to do the math part. Now let's look at some word problems. On page 26 in the textbook, they wrote some out. I've written a shorter version. I didn't write all of the words, but number 9 says, Danny has 34 keychains. He buys 5 more. How many keychains does he have now? If he has 34 and he buys 5 more, then he still has 3 10s, and now he has 9 1s. So Danny now has 39 keychains altogether. Number 10, there are 24 green apples, 32 red apples. The question is, how many apples are there altogether? Look at the apples. There are 2 10s in one group and 3 10s in the other group. That means there are 5 10s when you combine them. The 4 1s and the 2 1s combine to be 6 1s, and so the answer is 56 apples altogether. Now I should have written up here, by the way, 39 is how many keychains he has. It's always good to know 39 what, and in this case it's 39 keychains. Let's look at the next page, 27, a couple more problems to practice. Michael had 78 goldfish. He sold 40 of them. How many goldfish did he have left? Well, I showed the 78 goldfish with 7 10s and 8 1s. If he sold 40 of them, then he's going to not have 4 10s that he started with. Now he still has 3 10s and he still has the 8 1s. So how many fish does he have left? He has 38 goldfish left. The last one, number 12, says Ramad has 48 stickers. Sammy has 32 stickers. How many more stickers does Ramad have than Sammy? Notice if you draw 48 with 4 10s and 8 1s and 32 with 3 10s and 2 1s, you can solve this a couple of ways. You could match them up and say that after all of Sammy's have been matched with Ramat's, Ramat still has a 10 and 6 1s left over. Ramat has 16 more than Sammy. You can also think about that with a math sentence because what we're doing is subtracting. If you're trying to find out how many more does Ramat have than Sammy, you could think of it as a subtraction problem. 4 10s minus 3 10s leaves you with 1 10. 8 minus 2 leaves you with 6. So that's 16 more than Sammy. Or you could say that Sammy has 16 less than Ramat. Say the name correctly. So there are lots of different ways to think about it and to state the answer, and it's very important in these problems to realize that you can match them, you can subtract them, you can talk about how many more Ramat has or how many less Sammy has, but all of that is done with the same problem-solving skill of subtracting. That's what you need to know to do exercise 10.